Hi, all. Welcome to Let's Catch Up, Interact, and Share podcast, a platform where we interact with senior leaders and entrepreneurs. It's a unique opportunity to engage with the experienced professionals. The experts share their insights and practical experiences, which will provide you with the knowledge across various fields. Seek actionable insights that can enrich your personal and professional growth. Let's start with one more interaction of the podcast. And before that, let me set the context for you with a small story. The morning nudge. Ram, the person who journey for a purpose, starts with this story. Yeah. Ram was a successful corporate executive known for his vision and relentless drive. Yet, midst of his accomplishment, he felt an unsettling fatigue that creeps into his daily routine. The spark that once fueled his ambition dimmed under the weight of repeated cycles of reports, meeting, corporate jargons, etc. After much of a contemplation, Ram decided to take a week's break to change the scenario and escape to an ancestral house that had housed three generations of his family. On the first morning there, Ram awoke with the sun spilling across the old wooden floors. The tranquility of the countryside encircled him, as a stark contrast to the busy streets of the city. However, as he poured himself a cup of steaming coffee, a sudden gust of wind blew thin drawing book from the shelf. It tumbled to the floor with a soft thud, lightly tapping Ram on the head, as if awakened something buried deep within him. Curiously, he picked up the book and flipped it open. A wave of nostalgia washed over him. The pages were filled with sketches he had created during the school days, the illustrated moments of joy, he and his friends happily serving water to the thirsty farm workers nearby field, their faces beaming with laughter and camaraderie. Each drawing transported Ram back into the time when their life felt uncomplicated and simple act of giving was enough of a joy. Staring at the sketches, profound question echoed in his mind. What am I doing with my life? The moment struck him like a bolt of a lightning, awakening memories and emotions he thought he had long forgotten. He saw in those innocent lines the purpose that had once ignited his passion helping others. Inspired by drawing, he made decision to dedicate his career helping farm workers conserve water and their farming practices. He imagined creating sustainable solutions that would empower farmers, allowing them to thrive instead of merely survive in the face of adversity. In the next 6 months that followed, every morning became deliberate step towards purpose. Ram engaged with the local farmers, listening to their struggles and dreams. Ram's story serves as a vivid metaphor for a career change. It demonstrates something we don't need to have a grand plan for resources to make meaningful shift. We may only need an environment that invite reflection, the exhaustion of a repetitive routines, or simply a nudge back to our roots. To develop deeper into a concept of such transformative career shifts, we turn to insight from Supriya Gurjar Troop, and unique personality served in Indian Force as an awarded woman pilot, seasoned expert in navigating career. Supriya has her own experiences to guide you. Currently, for last 18 years, she is in US. Will get valuable strategies out of her experience from these interactions. Let me introduce you to Supriya Gurjar Troop. Currently at USA last 18 plus years, earlier about 10 years in India. She is working with Hewlett Packard Enterprise, California, USA for about 4 years in the role of Agile Coach. Prior to this, she has worked with Visa California, USA for 2.5 years as a senior program manager. Palo Alto Networks, Santa Clara for 1.5 years as operations manager, global talent development operations manager, managing global talent. Prior to that, about 6 years, 6.5 years with eBay San Jose in various roles like of program manager, agile leadership coach, technical education specialist. Prior to that, Skyr Incorporated about a year as an instructional designer at Menlo Park, USA. Cisco San Jose as a L&D executive and instructional designer for 2.5 years. In India, she has worked around a year with T Systems India as a senior executive. And prior to that, she is an Indian Air Force pilot who has retired and was adjusted to COO for 9 years and 4 months before her retirement from Indian Air Force. As a transport pilot, she was responsible for casualty evacuation, supplies, cargo, troops communication, supply paradrops in inhospitable terrain of northern India, Siachen Glacier, and northeastern India. She is the first woman pilot to captain and land the aircraft at world's highest airfield at Leh in the Ladakh region, India. As adjacent to the COO, controlled and managed flying activities at the airbase, event management planned, coordinated and executed visits of airbase by high-ranking officials from various fields. Chiefs of staff and diplomats of various countries is managed around the world when they have visited to CEO. So such a personality we are lucky to have interaction with and get the insights from her. Thank you, Supriya, for your time. And let's begin with the conversation. Hi, Supriya.
Hey,
Thanks for
Milan.
giving the time. And I know for you it's a evening, for us it's morning. Yeah, we are talking in two different continents. So, welcome to Let's Catch Up, Interact, and Share session. This podcast is mainly meant to share the experiences and the learning to the youngsters who would able to pick up a lot of, practical advices which they will able to get out of the interaction. Okay. So, to all of you, I have already given you an introduction of Supriya, and we'll start straight away with the question. After retiring as an Indian Air Force pilot, how did your transition to career in program management, agile coaching, doing some CEO initiative or ownership, and instructional design has really worked out? And obviously, it is in a different continent that you have been working in US for last 18 plus years. So, how did this transition or a change, if you can explain, a lot of people will able to benefit out of it. So, over to you.
For sure. Yeah. Thank you. First, thank you for having me on your show and your podcast. I think my career has been a journey with new beginnings every few years. I think people say you go through at least two or three different kinds or paths, and that has come true for me. I Once I finished my service with the Indian Air Force, I was looking for something to do, and I learned German in the school and college, so I thought I'll become a German translator. Went to Max Muller Bhavan, got my the highest exam that I finished there, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this here. The serendipitous way my career outside of Indian Air Force started with you and with our company. And I think that has been a common thread, and I will probably get a chance to speak about that later. But it's always been about happy accidents, coincidences. I walked in in the office, gave my resume to the front office manager for a role as a translator. And she was thinking, no, we're not hiring anybody at this point. And I said, can you please talk to the HR manager? And she went in and out you came and you talked to me. And I think what has been extremely not only just serendipitous, but also almost like a guardian angel. People have seen things in me and saw me in a different light, in a different role. And you gave me the first break as a facilities executive. I had zero experience, but you had the confidence and you had the belief, and that sort of fueled me to go on and do what I did. But similar instances happened along the way.
Lovely.
Um, and
I think
I
that's it's typically a mutual thing. Once we see that spark and it comes to the light and it really contributes, then you feel the fulfillment has happened. Yeah.
for sure. But I think you need leaders like that, right? People who can spot that and not be so stuck in the box, and not be so stuck with, oh, she applied for this role, therefore we don't have any roles, and therefore no, we can't do anything about it. I think with that German background, also what was made an impression on me was the curriculum that they had developed in Goethe Institute. And it was so engaging, highly engaging. And I thought, wow, whoever does that? And I found out that instructional technology was the path. If I wanted to make something as engaging, something that had an impact on other people as they learned something new. And so I enrolled in a master's program here in San Jose State. And again, happy accidents or luck, I kept getting jobs. I kept moving forward. Another happy accident was moving into a project manager role because the actual project manager needed help. And I loved it. And so that's how I sort of went into that direction of project management, program management. And as I was working on these different projects, the one thing that I came across was an agile transformation at one of our companies. And I as before that, I was working on leadership a lot. And I had background in leadership development, and I was running programs, hosting people from all across the world, including, and then the facilities comes in play, right? Their hotel reservations and all the meals and everything. So the entire program as such, with the leadership aspects at the forefront. But with that in background, we wanted to bring in something like agile leadership, because what we realized, what brought us here is not going to get us there. And the world was changing. This was back in 2010s. And we needed to be able to respond to that change. And the command and control top down wasn't going to work. We needed everybody to become a leader and everybody to step into that role. And for leaders to understand that, you don't have to control everything. In fact, it is liberating to let other people step up so you can go and take care of complex problems. So that's where I absolutely loved it. And as I was going through that, and I was creating programs, I was coaching and teaching people and leaders and executives, it was a natural transition again to get certified as a coach. So I got accredited by the International Coach Federation. And again, I mean, I've had my guardian angels along the way, my managers,
Lovely.
who supported my growth. And so I went into that. I mean, I became a coach, and it just turned out that that was just the most fulfilling thing I've ever done. I mean, all of these, actually, now that I think of it, there is a common thread in everything I've done. And the moment it clicked for me, it made all the sense. My work has been about service. So I served my country as an Air Force pilot. I served engineers when I was creating training for them. I served my coachees when I was coaching them, and as an entrepreneur, as a owner of a coaching business, coaching consulting business, I serve my clients. And I think it comes from that, and that's the fulfillment part. I think that's the bit that has stuck with me is if I'm doing something for somebody else, when somebody else gets successful, it gives me that fulfillment. So it sounds like, wow, so many different things, but to me, it's a continuation, it's a flow.
Very nice. So you're saying core of being in the service, core of being, and you find the way further. Once you
Mm-hmm.
decide that core of service, serving others and giving your best, on the way you will get a lot of hands which will able to support you to make your journey possible.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So the next one is, as a technical education specialist, what methods did you use to design training programs that effectively address the needs of diverse learners?
Um, So, drawing the thread from my first story of Max Muller-Bubban or Goethe Institute, highly engaging curriculum development, and I wanted to bring that to what I was developing and to my target audience. So, um, a common approach is what's called an ADDIE model, an old model, which is basically assessment, design, development, implementation, and execution. So the assessment part is, to me, the most important step. And as with diverse learners, and I'm sure in India, we have so many different languages, so many different cultures too, right? And here in the US, it's a melting pot of different cultures, different countries, and again, speakers of different languages as well as differently capable people. So we have, I mean, even today's job of mine, I'm creating surveys. So those who have a vision challenge are able to, use screen readers and, making it uh, 508 compliant. So basically, it is accessible to differently abled people. But really looking into, as I engage with them, as I do the assessment in the beginning, I am looking at what are we trying to teach people? What is the training about? Is it a concept? Is it a procedure or a process? There are different things, there are different tools utilized. Are we all in the same room? Is it going to be in person? Is it going to be virtual? And it depends on, our geographical locations, time zones. Is it going to be hybrid? Are we going to do an instructor led, but synchronous? There are so many moving parts in this, and it makes it that much challenging, but also that much fulfilling when it actually works out. And I think once you gather all those requirements, then you start designing and, developing, testing it out with a handful of target audience who would be your first testers, first users. And that has helped me to develop training programs. For example, now even more so, and later in my role as a technical education specialist, I introduce more of that quick feedback loops. So don't spend months developing something that may or may not be useful. Do a quick run, do a quick iteration, see if that makes sense, if that's what the stakeholder was looking for, or was there a misunderstanding between them telling me their requirements and me understanding them? So it can take various routes, but I think it's important that you ultimately develop something that is valuable and useful and impactful. So
Wonderful.
assessment, I would say, is the most important to design really effective programs for diverse learners.
Okay, very well said. You said a lot of dynamics which you need to consider, and all you said is the planning is very critical. Models and all are important, but at the same time,
Yeah.
planning, piloting, seeing, and a very important point which you said is quick assessment as to whether you're reaching out to them. I think that itself will tell you whether you're going on the right path or you can do a course correction.
Yeah.
Good approach. So the next one is, can you provide specific example of a challenging project you managed, navigating that challenge and achieving a successful outcome?
Um, I managed leadership programs a lot as a program manager. And leadership development happens, there is a lot of investment in that. My manager gave me one-liner problem statement. There is nothing for technical ICs in terms of their career development. Go figure something out. That was a problem statement. And I literally so ambiguous, but then I went in a different direction, came up with a hybrid approach. Obviously, again, I interviewed a few target audiences as well as few subject matter experts and then leaders in different areas within the company. And I came up with an approach that I didn't want it to be death by PowerPoint. I didn't want it to be classroom training. And I wanted it to be more learning by doing. I like to bring in that approach. I like to sort of put the ownership of the learning aspect on the learners themselves. Because if you're not invested in your own learning, you're going to sit in a training for 8 hours a day and go away taking away nothing. So I broke my program over a few weeks. I think it started as 8 or 10 weeks, and then I sort of adjusted it to about 6 or 8. But it was more around there were activities for the learners to do on their own, homework or otherwise, and like applications, not read something, do this, or write something. It was more go meet so and so, go figure out if that's the path you want to take. And so I called it the Aspiring Leaders Program. There was also a myth and a misconception in people's mind that if I wanted to grow in my career, then I needed to become a people manager. And I wanted to break that concept. And I said, that's not necessarily true. There is a reason why you would become a people manager, and that should be absolutely clear to you as a person before you step into that role. And so we've all seen bad managers, right? And we don't want any more bad managers if we can help it. So I wanted people to understand that being a leader is about others. It's not about you. It's about genuinely caring that other people are successful, genuinely making sure that they are successful or are succeeding, and you're providing the environment and the opportunities for them to grow. So when you see it in that light and you genuinely need to like people and believe in people, then there is a good chance or a fair chance that you will be a good people manager. And I wanted them to know that they don't have to sacrifice their technical career just because they thought there's a career ladder. And I brought that concept to them. It's actually a career lattice. You
Okay.
go and you travel, and it may not be a straight line or a straight ladder like that, but you take on different roles. And I brought experts, I brought technologists, and I brought people managers. I brought in people who had been people managers who went back to being individual contributors. And having had those kind of experiences shared, that and the activities included in that program gave them a fair idea of what they wanted to do or what they desired. And then 75% of them said, yeah, I don't really need to be a people manager. I know I have a career ahead of me as a technologist and a pure technologist, and I can actually make bigger impact remaining an individual contributor rather than becoming a people manager. And then those who really wanted to go understood what was at stake and that it was about others and not about them. So by the time I left the company, we had doubled the wait list of people who wanted to join my program. I couldn't enroll everybody, and they had to keep waiting for the next opportunity.
Wonderful. Now, I get the important points out of this, typically from ambiguity to ensuring that they get the right insight on what path they should follow.
Mhm.
And a lot of techniques being used, obviously, to make it happen. I think that's really important for people. Training is not meant to correct them. Training is more to meant them to find the right way for their progress and development. I think that's something which I kind of take away as a message from this. So the next one is, how has your experience as an agile coach in the reputable organizations influenced your approach to leadership and team development? Why I'm saying each organization is different, and when it comes to a very structured, highly reputable organization, how do you think your agile coaching, is working out in the leadership and team development?
And that's a great question because it does compete with the regular command and control waterfall kinds of ways, program management, project management. My approach is simple. I listen first. I observe. I am the fly on the wall. I go and join teams, their meetings or maybe leaders meetings, and see how people behave and act, and what problems are they facing. And what I have seen through my experience is most of the problems are people problems.
Okay.
Technical problems technologists can solve.
Yeah.
But when it comes to interpersonal conflicts and interpersonal problems, nobody really taught us how to do that, right? We all went to universities and colleges and got our diplomas and whatever, insert your functional area here, right? People became engineers. They know exactly how to do their job, but they don't really know how to solve interpersonal problems. And so for me, I focus my agile coaching again from an agile leadership point of view, from a people point of view, because to me, agile development, agile software development is all about people. Is how do they do it? How do they come together? And how do they solve problems for our customers, whoever the customers may be, whoever the company may be. And again, it's all about them. It's all about leadership, is all about people. It's not about me. My agenda as a coach is always the coachee's agenda, whoever the coachee is. It could be an engineer on the team, a scrum master, a product owner, people manager, or a director or an executive. So the range is huge, but it's really about, often it's about people management or people issues. As I dig into it, that's what I find. And again, I bring it back to my success, or my job is to make other people successful. So, sometimes it's harder for people to be in that space. When I was in the Air Force, as a pilot in the Air Force, you're the cream, right? You're the top of the tops, and everybody else works to make you successful. They're great people. They're all working together to make the pilot successful and make sure the pilot lands back in one piece, alive, right? Now I have taken this other approach of, being in the background and making others successful. So the leaders or the engineers or the teams. And my focus right now as an agile coach is I like to help them become high performing organizations. And with that, what comes to me is the most important thing is for me is, as a team, we win together or we fail together. So it can't be a zero sum game. It can be I win and you lose, or the other way around. It's you and I need to win so that the company wins, so that we get more customers, whatever the success criteria may be. And to get there, I need to bring that concept to the people. And of course, this also comes from my Air Force background. So that's why I said all of these things flow together in my head and for me in
Yeah.
my life. It doesn't go waste. All that experience comes in handy, but also to sort of bring that team coordination and just the togetherness. We don't compete with each other. We compete with ourselves. I want to become a better person than who I was yesterday. I want to have better skill sets than what I had yesterday. So continuous improvement, as we say in agile methodology, and continuously growing and learning. So when the entire organization or everybody in that organization behaves this way, and the leaders role model. So first, I need to role model the behaviors. I want others to take on and observe and absorb. And I expect the leaders to do the same. You can't expect somebody else. It's not about say as I do, not as I, or whatever the saying is, do as I say rather. Um, it's about I do what I say I
Yeah.
will do,
Yeah.
right?
So,
And mhm,
yeah, go
the
ahead.
the
Yeah.
last aspect of team building to me is about problem solving. And often again, it's about the competing, or it's about, oh, that department, that team, that other so and so director, or so and so's organization. Ultimately, we all work for the same company. Ultimately, we all work towards the same, we all have the same goal. We want to be successful, right? We want to make as much money for our company as we can.
Absolutely.
So if we put that sort of perspective on, then I like to bring this to the people is when you're problem solving with other people, first of all, assume best intent, that you're not out to get me. The other person is not out to get me. But if you imagined, whether you're in the same room or you're talking on a Zoom call, imagine both of us are sitting on the same side of the table and we're looking at the problem on the whiteboard. When we do that in our heads, the attitude, the mindset suddenly changes.
Absolutely.
We start defining what the problem is from my perspective, from your perspective, from somebody else's perspective. And we end up redefining. We understand that better. We understand the other person's perspective better. And when all these points of view are collected together and connected, the problem is defined better. And then we can solve it together. So we become a team instead of adversaries. And that's something I feel if they get a better grasp of that, a lot of problems won't be problems anymore.
Got it. So, I make one statement based on a lot of things you've said. I'm sure I'm not gathering all that, but I could capture I integrate talent, team, and technology. That's what
Oh,
I could
nice.
get. Yeah. So, the next one is based on the experience, what specific advice would you offer to a new generation for building their successful career?
I'm going to do a rapid fire. I hope this helps.
Yeah.
Everyone has a story. They may or may not share it with us, but be kind and don't assume. Assume best intent if you want to assume anything. Do not jump to conclusions. Be honest with yourself as to what you want from your life, because often it goes way beyond money, status, fame, fortune, whatever else you want to insert here. The moment we find our life's purpose and it's congruent with our values, and we do something for the greater good, something for others, the fulfillment comes in. If we only focus on the surface things, only surface satisfaction happens in our life. So whenever we feel there's something missing in my life, go deeper. Resilience is something that'll show the way. Be willing to adapt, be willing to change, because change is constant. It's always going to be there. Don't be afraid to make change. Don't be afraid to jump into new situations, new careers, new opportunities. And it's okay to ask questions. It's okay to feel stupid in that moment, right? Not knowing, I don't know this, right? Can you tell me?
Yeah.
I, in fact, find it extremely liberating to say, I don't know this, because then it opens up the opportunities for me to learn new things. And I have given myself the permission to feel stupid or feel whatever it is. I don't care what other people have to think, but I am creating an opportunity for myself by opening up with those questions. And you know this, you've been part of this journey with me. Part of that
Yeah.
is, had I said no to facilities, I don't know what my life would have looked like. Befriend the word yet. I like that word because I haven't done that yet. I don't know that yet. It opens up opportunities again. You're giving yourself permission to say, okay, it makes it that much more positive for you to look at it as, oh, there is a possibility here. I don't know that yet, but there is a possibility. And then the last one I would say is change your mindset with, instead of saying, oh, I have to work on this, I get to work on this.
Absolutely.
And there is an immediate attitude and mindset change, because get again opens up possibilities, whereas have to comes from a point of forced compliance, like, oh, my manager asked me to do it, so I have to do it. But when you say, I get to work on this, you are owning that and owning the
Absolutely.
outcome.
Great, great. I think a quick understanding of mine is everyone has a story. It starts with you, and then you make it happen based on opportunities you try to seek for yourself.
Yeah,
Very well said.
absolutely.
Last one is, as a CEO of Life Design, what is that which you would like to offer the people, or what do you really want to pursue through that?
I think knowing what you want from your career, from your life, knowing why you were put on this earth to do what. Dream big. Dreams are free. John Maxwell says dreams are free, journey is not. If you're willing to work for it, and whatever, work for it, and pay for it in terms of time, money, investment, energy, social life. What are you willing to pay for your growth? So career growth doesn't end up in your lap or just fall in your lap. You have to work for it. So be willing to do that deep dive and knowing yourself. And when you know yourself, you can lead yourself. And when you lead yourself, you can lead others.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah. And I think it was a great interaction. A lot of takeaways for even everyone. In fact, people who are experienced, people who are practicing, the new people who are starting their career. So thank you so much for your time.